Another self-care tip from Mike the MC. Hoping to turn the deck into your favor. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, many of us, it feels like, okay, we don't have the best talents, the best abilities, the best circumstances to get our life, our ideas, aspirations going. And I think part of that also stems from the fact that when we face people who go against us in the narrative, whatever we believe, that they just want to throw us down in some way. They want to get in your face. They want to tell you, oh, you're going to be a nobody. You're nothing. You're just a waste of air. Stop giving yourself into something that's not going to go for anything further. You're just wasting your time, right? You can think of all the negative consequences, all the criticisms, right? And the consequences of you not following through with your mission, right? To think, okay, if I'd only had the better hand to start off with, right? Maybe my starting hand was not so great with the metaphor of a deck of cards. And I'm thinking, okay, I cannot take down my opponents yet, but maybe I can bide my time and get a better hand later in life. So I'm waiting, trading my cards for the better hand, knowing when to fold and when to run and when to move. I know I'm being cheap when I make a reference like that. But the point is, you have the ability to play your hand as best as possible. It's your choices and your abilities, your intuition, right? Now, share in the comments, what do you think? Does intuition sometimes be overrated? Should we allow experience and allow others to really kind of dominate the scene as far as, okay, maybe someone is in charge right now. Maybe someone does have a good feedback for me that I should listen to. And then maybe my hand will get better because they're now sharing with me how to play it, how to even trade for better cards, how to know when to make my move. And you think, okay, that would never have happened if I had the feedback from someone who was a better player than I was. And you think, okay, then why weren't they going to go for the things that I had in mind? But that's the thing. Everyone is on a different mission, and they're going to play their hands differently based on what they believe is going to be the outcome of what they want in their favor. And it's not always the same as you. And that is the unique thing of life, right? Have you thought about those teachers, those people that you've come across and you're thinking, man, they can be so in charge of so many things if they applied themselves differently in society, in a different context? Maybe that lady, that guy could have a wonderful family if only they were willing to go out and have a nice relationship, right? But remember, you cannot play matchmaker in this regard. You cannot force other people to play their hands in this space, unless we're going to talk about manipulation, which to some degree, okay, you can argue if you know how to play your hand and fool your opponents to make a poor judgment in their case and you get past them, okay, that's different because you're trying to outplay and win over your opponents so that way you're not trapped. Okay, now what I argue is, okay, don't manipulate selfishly, but manipulate to where you are still following your mission. Now, if you manipulate in order to just gain more resources just for the sake of it, all right, consider your thoughts and actions, right? At least I said something. But the thing is, you have the choices to make when you are going to face them. And if you choose the better cause, the better idea when it comes into mind, maybe I don't have to beat up the guy or the girl, my opponent in this game of whatever we're playing, of dating, or whether we're working at school, or whether we're in a business together, or whether we are just facing each other in the restaurant, etc., whatever the situation, the social idea is. The thing is, wherever you are in life, you have the context in mind and you know what you want to play for. And maybe you just want to be that player that's kind of hiding in the shadows. Maybe you want to be the person that's just watching from the corner of the room and you're like, okay, at least I'm just watching the environment around me. I'm not overstaying my welcome. I'm not making a big scene. I'm kind of just staying low, just keeping my eyes around and focused and aware of what's happening around me. And I'm not causing a fuss, I'm not causing a stir. And kind of like in this context of the video, right, I can just zone out and just say, okay, at least I'm talking to you all. I don't have to look at the camera, but at least I'm sharing with you my ideas in this regard. Now I'm kind of floating off, just going off into ideas and space, and I'm just thinking, okay, what would be the next thing for me to tell you all about related to the topic of the video, right? So kind of thinking from a third person perspective, right? Thinking beyond how me talking to you, if I'm looking at myself from, say, another point of view of this room, talking to you in the camera, when you really think that far back and you're super reflective, it's like, wow, okay, you gain a sense of awareness, and you can kind of get an idea of how to win the situation, the context, no matter where you are, with the hand you're given. And so when you're able to separate your mind from where you're standing in front of what you're doing in the moment, think about, wow, how do I sound talking to a camera right now in my room, as far as me just thinking about what it sounds like. And I'm thinking, all right, maybe I can talk a little louder, maybe I can talk with more conviction, maybe this idea that, okay, maybe I shouldn't worry about what you all think on the other side of the camera, because I'm playing my cards right. I know what I'm doing is correct. I know what I'm doing in the context of the bigger I, the eye of God, or whatever you believe is your faith, whatever, that you're in the right, you're doing what is correct, what you feel is just. And so when you're thinking with a third eye, you're thinking with the context of the greater view, then you're able to play the cards right and really aim for a better hand. And so when you start to grow, when you start to make your moves, when you start to gain that reputation, right, whatever comes about with you making your actions, think about, all right, do I want to replicate those actions again, or do I want to go for the bigger hand? Do I want to throw more of a bet into this case, as far as me wanting to push for more businesses, more relationships, more alliances, more people in my life? Or do you just want to play humble and say, okay, I don't have to be a bad guy, I could be good. I could have my family and kids. I can be a good person. I don't have to be a good guy, or don't have to be a bad guy, a bad girl. I could be good. And you're thinking from the context of, all right, I could be selfless. I'm mixing up my words here all of a sudden. Selfless, and not be over anxious to win everything. If you recognize that there are costly victories in life when you're playing your hands, okay, that's what I'm trying to drive at. That's the idea I'm just trying to convey. If you recognize you don't have to win everything in order to destroy your opponents. You don't have to have everything under your belt as far as trophies, recognition, prestige, whatever it is that you're involved with in life, right? Maybe you just win the one thing and you're good at it. Maybe you're very happy being a teacher. Maybe you're very happy of what you're doing in life, and people recognize it. They're like, wow, okay, this is an interesting person. They're not trying to get fame. They're just kind of to themselves, kind of like a loner, but kind of just to themselves, in that they're doing their own thing and they're happy. They're not trying to seek fame. They're just busy with what they love to do. And when you're happy with what you find and you're doing that for joy, and if you are earning from that, that's a bonus. That's a benefit, man. That's so awesome. And maybe you're able to find that in life, and maybe you're able to pursue until you find it, and you're like, okay, I found what I'm looking for. This is making me happy. Going out and starting a business to help kids, to help the abused, to help the elderly, right? Maybe I want to go out and start a restaurant and feed the people who are homeless, who are hungry, right? Those who are starving. And maybe I can always give my leftover food from the store or restaurant that never was used and say, okay, go for it, everybody. This is all yours. Here's a donation from me to you. I'm kind. I'm a good owner. Go and use it for your personal gain. But here's the thing. When you're winning and you're gaining the spoils, recognize how you share those spoils with other people. And if they use it for the selfish reasons, ill-gotten gains, whatever they all, let the fancy way of saying that, and you recognize, oh, I should never have given that person that amount of money, because now they're buying drugs all of a sudden. I never should have given that person all my earnings from what I won, because now all of a sudden they bought more bad things in their life. Right now they're using it, the goods that I've given them, so selfishly. So recognize when you win certain things, know how to share those trophies, those victories with other people. Recognize that everyone can turn on you on a dime as well. So you know what to do to take care of yourself, make positive action, but also know when to keep your cards close to you and know, okay, maybe I don't want to play that card right now, because I recognize that's going to just get my acquaintance a little too anxious to play to win something, right? And that's where you have to recognize, all right, I'm not trying to have someone fall into a trap, but I don't have to manipulate them into committing that trap as well. And so when you recognize your power, when you recognize your strengths, when you recognize your abilities in life, and you're recognizing that you can just hold back and not have anyone turn into a bad person, that's a greater act of valor, of honor, I would say, in this regard, because you know how to play your cards and knowing not to play them, so that way you keep people humble. You know that you don't have to be selfish in order to create selfish people. You recognize that by holding back some of your victories, you can help other people too. But that takes greater awareness. Going back to what I was saying, when you have that third view of looking at yourself, for my example of looking at myself from the camera in this regard, like, oh wow, this is how I sound in front of you all when I speak. But the thing is that kind of awareness will help you recognize your greater impact on people with regard to what victories you win with your hand. And when you win with those cards and you get the new hand dealt to you, okay, hopefully you're able to learn from your mistakes and play your hand much better, so that way people are flourishing and not falling into terrible temptations. Protecting your kids, protecting your wife, protecting your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. And know that when others are wanting you to be manipulated when they're playing their hand, you don't have to play that game. Wish them well, but you don't have to play into the hand of your boyfriend, girlfriend if they turn into a toxic person and it becomes a toxic relationship. So recognize, if you're able to not play the game, go for it. Protect your hand, protect the cards you were dealt, and maybe you can use them for something more greater, and maybe it'll help someone along the way that you weren't expecting. You never know. Life is so awesome when we run into the unexpected turn, and to just stay in that space, to kind of just lock in, to really stay in the huddle, or what is it, they stay in the pocket. Stay in the pocket as far as that situation, and allow everything to be. And when you're able to play your hand accordingly, things can happen and help you and others move forward. And you don't have to overplay at the start. Let the situation unfold, and then you make your move. And that is where you start gaining victories. Alright everyone, I hope this video finds you well today. Play your hand right. Don't have anyone turn into an evil person by what victories you're obtaining. Recognize that you have power, and when you recognize the power of you and your skills and abilities, that people just reflect what they are doing because of the actions you've done. And maybe they're for better, and you can help people become better people in the process. Things to consider. Alright everyone, I hope this video finds you well. Take care. Have a good one.